Hey, 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 hey. All right, this is Artie Astor from B Sharp and C. I'm kind of doing just another last minute, and I don't know what it is. I've been getting a lot of people commenting lately and requesting for me to do songs. And I did a B Sharp and C on awesome B-sides, and someone commented, Gabe Aguilar commented, and he mentioned The Deepest Red by INXS. And I gotta admit, this is actually a good song. And what's cool about this is that this is another example of how you can do so much within a song. And it doesn't have to even, and I swear to you, the whole band probably wrote this song in about a half hour, and then they just decided to embellish. Let's do the saxophone solo here. Let me sing it this way. It just became, it began to grow wings type of thing because it's really simple. And then I think the chorus, I'm not kidding. Pretty much triads. Every now and then you can play around with it and kind of see a suspended fourth kind of popping up in there. But it, I, I think when you have musicians who are very expressive, like Michael Hutchence was absolutely um, very expressive. There's a part of me that thinks that he can be in an empty room singing against the wall, and the massive amount of how he is just so expressive is going to be evident. I, I really do believe that. And I say that because there are some people who are just talented vocally, not with their ability. And I think sometimes I'm not always clear when I talk about what I like about certain vocalists, because I think that you can have a good example would be Adele. I think Adele is absolutely amazing on so many levels. She's got a lot of talent. She's got control of her voice for the most part. She's got a nice voice. I do not, for an instant, think that when I hear her voice, that she stands in a world of her own. Now, I know people are going to disagree with me. I know people think that she's just untouchable. But there are some people, the minute they open their voice or the minute they open their voice is so unique and so expressive that it doesn't matter how good they are as a singer. It doesn't matter how much they know about music. It doesn't matter how much they know how to sing. Janis Joplin could cough and people would start dancing. That is just how she was. And I believe that is how Michael Hutchence was as well. And it's going to be evident in this song. So let me pull it up. Okay. So here it is here. So let's listen to this song together. It is called The Deepest Red by INXS. That is what this episode of B Sharp and C is about. Okay, let's get right into it.
Judas kiss, kiss of betrayal. I will not let it break me. Elation, you come
And then this is where you get that other part, and it's not much. It's not much. Right? It's not much. And I'm sorry about the crackling. Every now and then when I use Reason, I get crackling. I didn't know that Reason 10 was not compatible with my MacBook, which has the M4 chip. Fortunately, I got Logic Pro, and I think I'm going to enjoy Logic Pro more. And I think Logic Pro, and this is not a commercial for Logic Pro, I just think that Logic Pro so far, and I've been using it one day, it seems as though I'll be able to do a lot more easily with Logic Pro than I would be able to do with Reason. Reason gave me no reason to stay with them. Reason didn't give me a reason. When Reason decided to not make the certain versions of theirs compatible with certain uh, Apple software, I contacted them and I said, well, this is a $500 product. And I don't have, I don't have this chip at the time. I think it was the M1 chip. I don't have it. And they said, well, pay, $299 to upgrade or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't want to. I paid $500 for the product. It was when I bought it compatible with the current software. There's an upgrade. Now it's no longer compatible. And they were unapologetically like, well, look, this is what we charge. We don't really care. And it kind of made me feel like going to another DAW. And I kept Reason for a couple years after that, but it wasn't compatible. And here's something interesting. Their customer service was actually kind of abrupt with me when I asked extra questions, and they kept closing my tickets as resolved. And then I had to go back in and open new tickets and say, please don't close this ticket. It's not resolved. And then they would write back, it is resolved. Pay $299 to upgrade. I actually like what Reason did when Reason works. I like what they did. I'm not necessarily crazy about their focus on what they're providing for their clients right now. I switched over to Logic Pro, but I'm not using it right now for this because I have to configure some things, so I'm not using it going through this software that I'm using right now. But long story short, I just played for you the chord changes, super simple, not a lot going on, but you hear what's going on with the music. So it's a famously simple chord progression, but listen to the drum beat. Listen to the percussion. It's kind of like offbeat. Listen. Something you won't get with INXS is a lot of crazy instrumentation. I'll be honest with you, the only person, in my opinion, and it's not just because I play saxophone, but the only person who was able to really stand out with their instrument was the sax player.
Judas kiss of betrayal. I will not let it break me. Elation, you come my way, come my way. Oh baby, oh baby. I will not let it break me.
So I love what you have here. You have this weird chorus that's not much, not a lot of instrumentation, kind of a regular synthesizer sound in the background. The guitar is really not doing much. What stands out? Well, the drums and Michael Hutchence. That's what stands out. That's what stands out.
Here comes heartbreaking. I'm in love with you and more. Here comes heartbreaking. I'm in love with you and more. This moment.
Something else about the song that I think is funny is that he's singing the So I'm going to play it. Okay, so he's singing the verses. And then he goes into the chorus. But notice something. When he starts singing the chorus, the chords go back. And then he starts singing the chorus, right? So if you notice, and I'll go back because I just think this is basically INXS saying, um, let's just make the song sound simple, but at the same time, let's just not make it super simple, right? Okay, so here you have the verses doing their thing. Here's the chorus. He does sing right here, but not much. Now, okay, not yet. So these are the same chord changes as the verses. Now, you tell me, is the little thing that he sung while it was doing the G, F, E, F, right? Was that a pre-chorus? What was that? The percussion in the background is changing. You hear a little bit of that? A little bit of an echoey snare drum. Now he's actually singing the chorus. So what was that little weird interlude that we had? I mean, when you really stop and break it down, what the heck even was that? It's how good songwriting can be subtle. And I'm not saying this song is, top of the charts. It's a B-side. It's a B-side, but it still reflects the good musicianship and the good songwriting of the band and the creativeness of the band. And quite honestly, because there's so little going on with the music, you get a raw feel from Michael Hutchins' voice. I almost couldn't say his name. You could hear the kick drum changed. Judas kiss our betrayal. I will not let it break me. The drums are just fantastically engineered. Here you go. What's about to happen? We know something's about to happen because at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, everything in the song is now doing something that the rest of the song never did. So what are we about to get? The music kind of pulled away, the drums changed. What's about to happen? I don't know. I haven't heard this part of the song yet. You come my way, elation.
come my way, elation. You come my way, elation.
Oh, so what you have, and I love when music does this, it's a bridge that's not traditional. It's just essentially a breakdown, and some type of weird. I mean, this was like a weird psychedelic, engineering, use the synthesizer, add some sounds type of breakdown. I like it.
Come my way, elation.
Little bit of saxophone. Now, what do I not like about this? And this is where an engineer looks back and probably says to himself, oh, okay. Listen to Michael Hutchins' voice. Listen to where it is in your head if you're listening with microphones on, okay? If you're listening with headphones on, like I can speak English, listen to where Michael Hutchins' voice is in your head, and then listen to where the sax comes in. Why is the sax hard to distinguish? Because it's right up the same alley as the lead vocals, right? It should be like over here or something, so you can distinguish it better. Here's the breakdown.
You come my way, elation. You come my way,
You hear that?
elation. You come my way, elation.
I know I'm being nitpicky because it's just a couple runs from the saxophone. The saxophone isn't even featured in that whole bridge, that whole breakdown. But the time it did come in, for the 10 notes it did play, it was playing them concurrently with Michael Hutchins' voice, essentially in the same channel, right up the middle, you know, and the vocals kind of drown it out. Now, did they want that? Did they want the saxophone to kind of sneak in behind his voice? They might have. And I gotta afford them that possibility that maybe that's what they were thinking, you know? Engineering is just as much as an art as the music. Fight me on that.
You got my heart breaking. I'm in love with you and more. You got my heart breaking. I'm in love with you and more.
Oh, I like the fade out. In this song, I like the fade out. Ooh, it's a long fade out. I'm gonna wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to pee, and that song's still gonna be fading out. Um, all right, I'm not gonna give this song a score, and the only reason why is because I did play around with it for about 20 minutes before I started doing this video. I listened to like the first minute and a half and just kind of played with it because I was absolutely intrigued with what they can do with simplicity. But this is something, and then my friend Gabe, who recommended this song, he'll tell you I'm not a gigantic INXS fan. I know all of their hits, right? Suicide Blonde, but their hits I know are an exaggeration of everything INXS was, right? Their hits come out, and it's just everything together of what INXS is and how they sound, almost exaggeratingly so. And that's kind of why their hits were their hits, in my opinion. But like when I look at INXS, kind of like the Doors, some of their best work is when they're not being super featured. I think some of the best Doors stuff, and I only say the Doors because Michael Hutchins reminds me a little bit of Jim Morrison. Honestly, I think he reminds everybody of Jim Morrison. From what I understand, Michael Hutchins reminded himself of Jim Morrison. He was a huge, like Billy Idol, a huge Jim Morrison fan. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I thought I heard him say it in an interview once, And I've always, for my whole life, I've always thought that Michael Hutchence was a Doors fan. I'm not saying he wanted to be Jim Morrison. I'm just saying Michael Hutchence was a Doors fan. Kind of like I'm a David Gilmour fan. If I ever become a famous musician, and trust me, it ain't ever going to happen, but I would gladly say that I grew up listening to Pink Floyd and David Gilmour, and I can't help but be influenced or think of his songwriting and what he did, even as I myself create music. I think that that's something that all of us do. I know that some people don't like the comparisons, but if anyone ever compared me to get David Gilmour, I'll be like, okay, that's great. If they thought I was trying to follow in his footsteps, I might come right out and say, well, I looked up to him. I really liked him. He had an influence on me. But I want to be my own musician. I think all of us want to be our own musician. If we compose, we want to compose music that comes from us. We're not trying to copy somebody else, but we also admit that we are somewhat influenced by the people we grew up listening to, right? And I just get the impression he was very influenced by Jim Morrison, and I remember him saying it. Um, that being said, I feel like INXS is so unique, and a lot of their stuff that they released, I don't necessarily think they cared if it made it to the radio. I think they just liked creating their music and being experimental, being very experimental. And every now and then, a couple songs made it to the charts. Now, I don't think that for a second. I know that every artist would just love it if when they retired, 98% of their songs topped the charts, like the Beatles, or what did they have, like 50 top 10 hits or something like that? I'm sure every artist would just love to retire and have that under their belt. I get the impression that even though Michael Hutchence and the rest of the band would have liked that, that's not what they were shooting for. I think they were writing music because they wanted to write the best music that they could write. But I think they really wanted to be experimental. And I get that every single time I listen to an INXS song. I could be wrong because I'm not a big INXS fan. But the first thing that pops to my mind when I listen to INXS, same thing. Okay, this is going to come right out of left field. Same thing with the Cars. There are some songs when I listen to the Cars, I'm like, what the heck were they even thinking? And then I realize they were trying to be super experimental at the cost of even sounding uninteresting. I would pay money that NXS did the same thing. They just wanted to be experimental. But at any rate, I just had to do this episode on the Deepest Red. It was recommended to me. I started listening to it, and my first few thoughts were, wow, this is super basic. And then Michael Hutchence opened his mouth, and I'm like, less going on in the background. Seemingly, there actually is a lot more than you would think, but there's not a lot going on in the background. And then when someone like Michael Hutchence opens his mouth, especially with the reverb they had, a little bit of delay they had on his vocal track, it's like it's like a saxophone soloing. It's just, in my opinion, that's the type of voice he has. It's just you want to hear the voice. Okay, well, let me know what you think of my analysis of this song, and that is all I got for you. This is Audi Astor from B Sharp and C saying, you have a great night, you dirty son of a...